Okay.
Oh, yeah. Do we have someone that's logged in to like check if it's displaying? I'll log in really quick. Okay.
I know we only have until 12:50, so I don't want to waste any more time. Dr. Wineburg is still a graduate of our DSW program. She's also started her own nonprofit where she supervises current MSW students and has supervised many in the past. She's just a fabulous resource for us, and I'm so happy that you are here today to share your expertise with us.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me back again. I'm going to bore you with a little knowledge on some group therapy. Slide presentation and follow. So again, a little bit about myself. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a board, I never get this right, a board approved clinical supervisor, which means I can supervise people in units to become an LCSW. Of course, you heard that I graduated this December, last December.
Excuse me, we can't hear.
What?
Like we said. Especially say that.
That's gonna be weird. How about now?
That's better. Thank you.
Gotcha. Maybe because I'm so tall. I mean, I need to. All right, this is gonna be weird, but bear with me. Of course, I've been in the field of social work for over 18 years, which I absolutely love. Some of those years were in private practice, and I got bored and lonely, and so I turned that into an agency where we've been. This is almost 9 years now. I have 22 employees and maybe 170 clients. So I've been doing this for a long time. All right, hold on. All right, so how many of you have ever had any experience with group therapy? Facilitated, attended? Okay, what about facilitated? Anybody? Awesome. Some experts in the building. All right, so who can give me a working definition of what group therapy is? And you know there's several, so don't be afraid. And it can be made up in your own words. Just tell me what your idea of group therapy is. Don't be shy. You know I'm gonna call on y'all too.
Like, career more people together with you.
Was like, I knew her. Could y'all mute yourselves on the Zoom, please? Thank you. Go ahead. I thought it was me at first.
Three or more people who are meeting together with a clinician or therapist or someone to discuss experiences with a shared topic.
I love that. That's very good. Well, I don't even have to share my definition because she was on the money. But this is just one of several definitions of group therapy. So group psychotherapy is an effective form of therapy, something on top, in which a small number of people meet together under the guidance of a professionally trained therapist to help themselves and one another. And if you notice, I underlined guidance, under the guidance, and I highlighted themselves and one another. And that's because the facilitator or the person professionally trained therapist is only there to guide the group. They're not there to give advice, so to speak. They're not there to talk most of the time. It is up to the group members to interact with one another, and that's why themselves and one another is highlighted because they are the ones that are benefiting from the groups, or they're the ones that have to be actively participating. Okay. So, how are groups structured? Does anybody know how many people are supposed to be in a group, like maximum, minimum?
We were told that the magic number was 8, and I don't know if that's right. Or 6.
6 to 8? That's a good number. 6 to 8 is optimal, okay? So let's talk a little bit about how the groups are formed. So let's talk about selection of individuals. Of course, you want your groups to be composed of people who have similar issues or experiences or circumstances. You don't want to have a mixture of people. Say someone's there for depression or anxiety, and then someone is there for a grief group. Just having a mixture of different issues kind of causes the group to be all over the place because you're trying to address too many things at one time. So you want to have groups of people with similar, I hate to say issues, but that's the word that's popping in my mind, but with similar issues or problems. Now, the number of group members, 6 to 8, was the answer. It's you can have anywhere from 2 to 15 members. I would never have 15 group members. That is a lot to take on. So the ideal number, optimal number is 8 to 12, but even 12 is a lot for me. So I think, and this is personal experience, I think an ideal group number is 8 to 10. It's more manageable. And you'll see why as we go a little bit further. Seating arrangements. When I first started doing group, I did not even think about why seating arrangements are important, but it is because it adds to the dynamic of the group and adds cohesion, right? So, of course, everybody should have a chair, and they should sit in the same seat every time they come. So that's something you have to say in the beginning of your group sessions. Make sure everyone sits in the very same seat every time you come to group. If someone does not come to group, that chair is to remain empty. It allows the group to see the dynamic and they can actively see that someone is missing because it changes the dynamic of the group when someone is missing. And of course, everyone, even the facilitator, must have the same chairs, types of chair. Because yes,
If someone leaves the group, do you do like a symbolic leave the chair open?
yes, 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 ma'am, you do. Because it's all about when you're building cohesion with the groups, you're trying to build a bond between them. And then when the person does not come, if they're just absent, that's one thing. They just notice, oh, they're absent. But if they're not coming back, then you want to acknowledge that because it changes their dynamics and they may have to process that in some way because it may affect them, everyone differently. Okay. So how often you should have groups depends largely on the facility that they're holding the group at. Hospitals, for instance, hold groups 2 or 3 times or 4 times a week because they're a big facility. They have the manpower and the space to do this. But smaller facilities like my facility will only hold group once a week. Now we may once a day, I'm sorry, but we may have one every day, a different one every day. And usually at the larger facilities, groups can last anywhere from 45 minutes to 90 minutes, but in the smaller areas, it's only 60 minutes. And of course, group typically lasts about 6 months. I have seen groups last less than that, but to be effective, I think 6 months is ideal, which equates to probably 25 sessions. And something that's really important is the age dynamics of your group, because you don't want to have a group of 25-year-olds and then say a 65-year-old in the group, because they may not relate to the advice or the lived experiences of a 25-year-old, and vice versa. You don't have a group of 65-year-olds and then you have a 25-year-old because their mind will be blown, I can tell you that. 25-year-olds and 65-year-olds, I don't know if they're on the same plane or not, but you don't want to have that mixture. Uh-oh, someone needs to be admitted. Sorry about that. Okay, so in your very first session, it is ideal. I can't speak. I have Invisaligns in, so please forgive me. I slur my speech a little bit. It's ideal to set realistic expectations and explain them to the group in your first meeting. So attendance, that's very, very important to talk to them about because again, the group thrives on participation, it thrives on bonding, it thrives on um, interaction. So you have to let them know how important it is for them to attend every group. And if they miss group, what could possibly happen? And then you want to let them know what they expect during group, what to expect. Because some people believe that, I come to group, I'm here 3 times, oh, this isn't working. You have to know that group takes time, like any therapy. So you want to explain to them this is not the magic pill. You will not, feel 100% better overnight. You have to come to all your group sessions. So you want to make that known to them so that they won't be disappointed or feel like they're not getting anything out of it. Of course, you have to set specific goals and objectives for each session. Each session, you are focusing on something. And just to give you an idea, sometimes I get mixed up between goals and objectives. So I always like to write it out. A goal is a general statement of what the participant hopes to accomplish, and the objective is the skill that they learn to make that goal happen. So a goal could be for them to be less angry when they see someone's, a specific person's picture. Well, their objective would be to, to learn emotional regulation, so that they can help reduce their anger and learn relaxation techniques. Okay. All right. So we talked about this earlier. An important thing is to try to build cohesion within the group. You have to have a group that is well meshed in order for it to be effective. If you don't have a group that's cohesive or a group that feeds off of each other, you'll just have a bunch of silence. You won't have people participating. People will be bored. So you want to
Brittany.
could the online people please put your things on mute? Oh, thank you. Wait, hold on. Wait, they had
Oh my God,
okay, I wanted to read the comments because I wanted to make sure someone wasn't asking a question. Okay. So I think we're good now. That was, oh, it's okay. It was crazy. All right. Hold on. There's another thing in the chat. Oh, she said my apology. Okay, you're forgiven. All right. So, what group cohesion offers is, of course, a sense of belonging. It offers mutual support to one another and is a way to identify with your other group members. So that's why it's important to make sure you are taking proactive steps to have group cohesion going on. Some groups are naturally cohesive, right? For whatever reason. But then some groups need a little help. So it's your job as the facilitator to make sure that you bring out some things that they have in common, or you do activities that will make them kind of bond and say, hey, this person is just like me. But it's your job to make sure if they are cohesive. This little mouses, I can't even find the thing.
It's just the blue thing,
Oh, just
put it all the way to the right and then click next.
wait. I can't see it. What happened?
I think you can just click the arrow, like a forward arrow.
Oh,
Like The screen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, what can you, I don't see what you, oh, that thing?
The little arrow. And then move
Put it
the
all the way
mouse
to
to
the
the
left.
left. Uh-oh.
So if you move your mouse to like the right side of the screen, like on the screen.
That works.
That might be it. I have a short video just to give you an idea. Let's see if I can make it happen.
Group therapy. What on earth should you expect when you go to your first group meeting? Well, here's one possibility.
Okay. People, can we just focus for a few
I
minutes?
don't want to talk about my mother.
Not again.
Well, Phil, if it weren't for your mother, you wouldn't be here. Those are your words.
It's a stupid topic. I want to talk about what I want to talk about, not some dumb guy's dumb mother.
Whoa, listen, Miss Thorazine, you leave my mother out of this.
Hold it. We are here to talk about mothers, and we are going to talk about mothers.
Not my mother.
Okay,
Come on,
but
that's
I'm on
ridiculous.
then.
Come on.
Okay, that was ugly. And while it seemed like a bit of an exaggeration, we did that for a purpose. Most group therapy programs are really nothing like that. Actually, they're a lot more like this.
Hi, everyone. So it looks like today we don't have any new folks, so we don't need to do introductions. This group is about the mind, body, spirit connection, but as you all know, I like to open the floor up to the group first in case anyone has something urgent they need to have addressed.
Yesterday, my dad picked up my refills for my bipolar medication. And when he got back, he asked me when I won't need them anymore. I mean, I finally found a medication that works for me, and it's only been a few months, and he's already looking to get me off of it.
Oh man, that sucks. My parents have been super supportive of me through this whole thing, and they totally get that my meds don't fix my disorder. They just treat it. I wish everybody would get that.
Well, my parents were kind of like Jennifer's when I first got started, so I know where you're coming from. Eventually, I had to just accept that they don't understand everything about my mental illness. And maybe they never will. But they also don't have to. Yeah, it'd be nice if they did, but I know they love me. They want me to be happy. They just don't understand what that means for me, what I need to be healthy. And that's okay.
So did they come around?
Well, my dad did, but my mom's still waiting for me not to need therapy or meds. I know that she means well, she just doesn't understand. I'd love to have her on board, but as long as she's not messing with my recovery, then I can deal.
So what we're seeing is that even the people closest to us, the ones we love the most, and the ones who we know love us, still can have very hard time understanding the pain we're in and how we are working through our issues.
I guess what you're saying is we need to take it one day at a time.
Yeah, give peace a chance.
Very clever.
So that is what group is supposed to look. All right, so key tips to remember for group effectiveness. That's a creepy brain, isn't it? I just loved it though. All right. There we go. So to effectively manage your group, you always have to pay attention to the disruptors in the group, right? You may be lucky in a perfect world not to ever have one. I'm never that lucky, so maybe you will be, but you have to pay attention to that. And the behaviors of disruptors look like some of these issues. They challenge the intervention. They openly challenge what the facilitator is saying. They constantly interrupt, and they have erratic attendance, such as they show up late, they don't come at all, or they leave early. So when you take your therapy notes, you make sure to take these things, and then that way you'll see a pattern when you're reviewing your notes, and you can pick out who these people are and just, have a conversation with them. You also have to make sure you tell them you have a strict no violence policy. And that means having any threatening behaviors such as violence, intimidation, threats, or manipulation towards the participant or the facilitator. Because we know creating a safe space for our participants is what's most important, and for yourself, really, because you come first. You have to be safe in order to facilitate the group. Another key thing to remember is do not force participation. Yeah, it's a fact that participants will likely benefit from therapy if they're willing to share and participate. However, participants should not be pressured by group members or the facilitator to participate in activities, discussions, or sharing sessions. They need to feel safe and know that when I get ready to share is my decision. And if some people never share, but that's up to them. And some people do. Some people get a lot out of therapy without sharing. You just have to respect that and move along and not think something is, wrong. You could ask them, of course, but they may just be shy, so they still get things out of it. All right, things to remember when managing interpersonal dynamics. So we all know whenever there's a group of people, there will be different personalities and different attitudes and different everything, triggers for them. So a good group therapy facilitator will pay close attention to these things. So some groups may develop trust and ease of communication on their own, like we talked about earlier. But one way to manage some of this is to encourage group members to give one another feedback, and then doing so constructively. So you have to pay attention that although you're telling them it's okay to give feedback, make sure that the feedback that they are giving is positive and constructive and not causing any chaos. And of course, disagreements can make group dynamics stronger when handled in a healthy way, because everybody has a difference in opinion. So you're allowed to go back and forth and have a discussion related to that, but you have to make sure they're doing it in a healthy way, because that builds respect, for one another. That allows them to be open to other people's ideas and opinions. So it's okay to allow them to do that. And you have to help participants fight the tendency to shut down when conflicts arise. You want to teach them conflict management skills, because if you keep having conflicts, if participants have conflicts with one another often, and one person is intimidated or shy or reserved, they would tend to shut down. And then they do that every time. Then they're not really, the therapy is harming them more than helping them because they feel uncomfortable. So we have to kind of facilitate a mediation between the two to allow the other person to be heard. That way they won't feel afraid to speak or speak up. Other things to remember, some interactions are harmful to group cohesion, like we just spoke about, and should be corrected right away. Some things that should be corrected right away is mean-spirited comments, criticism, gossip between participants and other group members, and group members pressuring or the facilitator pressuring a participant to disclose information they're not ready to disclose. And of course, there are a ton of other interactions that can harm the group. You just have to be aware of those. Addressing harmful interactions, we want to solve the problem directly with a group member. So if someone is intimidating or antagonizing someone, you want to address that with that group member immediately. If what they have done is affecting the entire group, then you want to talk about it with them in the group. But if it does not affect the group, then you want to, take them out of the room and then handle it immediately. We can't let it, linger and fester, because we don't know if they will continue to do these negative things and then overall impact the group even more. And of course, you have to make group sessions fun, right? Who wants to sit in a group session and then just like Charlie Brown's teacher? I know y'all might not know who Charlie Brown is. Do you guys know who Charlie Brown is? I wasn't sure. So you just really don't want to be in a group with somebody that's monotone and keeps the same facial expression all day, and it's just, you have to make it fun, because it's already a very scary, sometimes intense environment, and people are scared to open up and be there. But if you make it inviting, then they're more likely to open up, they're more likely to participate. So you want to do things that help encourage clients. And here are a few ideas: icebreakers, which I absolutely love, and I also love snacks. So you want to make sure you give them snacks. You give little initial incentives for participation. Say if someone comes 4, if it's once a week, they come to 4 sessions in a row. You might print out a little certificate for them. I'm like, look at you, you made it every day this month. That's awesome. I don't know about you, but I like when people give me things, right? Even, even if it is a certificate. I see that you recognize that I did something, so I feel great about that. So you want to do that for your group members. You show movie clips that addresses things in positive light. Of course, you play games and you do show and tell. We did a show and tell once where people were interested in like snakes and lizards and stuff, and they brought those things for show and tell, and that was the best group I ever had because it was amazing. People were in such high spirits. They were interested in what was going on. They wanted to know more about the lizards and it was fantastic. So show and tell is a great way to get people into group. And of course, you can allow them to choose some activities that they want to do themselves because it's always important to include your group members and allow them to know that their voice is also important and what they like is also important. Don't make the group all about you, okay? And the things that you like. Make it about them as well. Well, that's been faster than I thought. Any questions? Questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
I have a small question. So earlier you mentioned to address when you have a disruptor, to address it immediately if it's like harming the cohesion of the group or if it's harming them internally. Would you do that like right after the session?
So if you notice that it's harming the group, so for instance, if I am saying negative things to her, criticizing her, I can't let that continue. I have to address that immediately. Right now, let's take a break. We're going to talk about this. But if they're doing something and say they're doing internalizing things or you can see that they're saying things about themselves, then you want to wait. I wouldn't wait. I would pause the group and then step out. Because things can escalate. And the thing is, if you let problems continue without addressing them right away, then you don't know what the escalation is turning into. So I might be inwardly feeling some way about something and I'm saying negative things about myself, but then we keep the group going and then someone says something and it's triggering me even more. And so now I'm blowing up.
So how would you go about stopping the group? Would you just go, okay?
Yeah, you're like, all right, I think we need to take a little break. Everybody, let's take a 5-minute break. Get you some water, stretch your legs, come back in 5 minutes. You give them a time and you say, hey, can you come with me for a minute? And talk to them, ask them what is going on, how can I help you? Do you need to step out and say, come back at the next group? Try to find out what they need. Because 9 times out of 10, people sometimes just need a listening ear, and sometimes the group is not that space. So if you take time out to go out and see what they need, it'll usually de-escalate itself really quickly. Mm-hmm.
So I know you said that, have people in their same seats and like always, would there be a situation, so I work at a school, like if I have a group of middle schoolers and there are 2 that are like, y'all are sitting next to each other and nothing can get done.
Yes.
Would you move them?
Very good question. Yes. You have to for the sake of the group. There will be times where things don't go quite the way we want them to go. And if you just have them sitting next to each other the entire time, that will be a recipe for disaster. You won't get anything done. I don't know if you get a chance to know your members before, like I think in school you may have some, you will know not to even sit them next to them. But if you don't know them, then that's just something you have to make a pivot on. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes.
Can you tell us about like an impactful time in a group where you're just like, oh, this went exactly how it should?
Oh, man. Okay. I have a couple of those. So, this will be interesting. I did a group with a bunch of firefighters, of course, because I'm a retired firefighter. And they asked me to come back and do some groups with them as like a little pilot thing. And I was like, this is not gonna work. I know it's not, but y'all want to do it, so I'm gonna do it. And it was like, it's group, why wouldn't it work? Because they're firefighters and I know them, okay? I don't know them personally, but I know the attitudes of firefighters. So I was like, fine, you're paying me, I'll do it. But I'm telling you, it won't last 2 sessions. I guarantee you it won't last. Okay, they come in, the attitude was already bad. Sitting like, why am I here kind of thing, right? And so they got to talking and sharing, but they started like teasing each other because of like, if I say, oh, I went to this fire and the hose didn't work and I almost got burned. Well, the other person was like, that's because you don't know what you're doing, kind of thing. And they were criticizing each other. And I was like, okay, guys, okay, but let's get back to what we were talking about. Let him finish sharing and then you can share next. So they would continue sharing and they would be mumbling things, but you could hear them, what they're saying. And I was like, okay, we can't speak with other people, but it's exactly what I said is not going to work because I know their attitudes. Firefighters think they are superheroes. And if the purpose of the group is to share and heal. But if you are healing, you're trying to give a healing comment. Well, they just think you're weak. And they don't respect that, which is why I knew it wasn't going to work. So we did the second one, and that second one only lasted like 10 minutes. I was like, that's enough. This is not going to work, and we're going to just be dismissed, and I will make sure to tell the superintendent that he tried it, but yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, this is a group of firefighters that were in the same house?
No.
Oh, they like came from different.
Yes.
Oh,
Would
dang,
you-
that makes it way
Do you
worse. I
have
thought they
any
all
alternatives
too.
you would suggest? Would you suggest individual therapy?
Yes, that's exactly what we did. Because the group stuff will not work.
What about if you're like leading a group and the topic that you chose, they like start on it for about 5 seconds and then go,
That happens.
yeah, do you redirect back to the topic if with what they've brought up is like, seems to be resonating with everybody?
Absolutely. People tend to they drift off a lot. But if it's serious enough, what they're saying, you feed into that a little bit and address it, but you somehow, and that's the skill of the facilitator, right? You somehow have to loop it back to what you were talking about. The ending, whatever your ending statement is, it will be on the topic that we were talking about at hand. And then that'll kind of bring the group back to what they were saying. But it just depends on the severity of what that person is saying. Sometimes you never even go back to the topic because this is so heavy that you have to spend time and focus on that. Anybody else? All right. Well, that is it. I hope you like my little presentation. 5 minutes to spare.